Malky, thank you for joining us. You've been in post for 3 weeks now. How have you found it since joining the club?
Great deal. Really proud and excited when Mr McGregor asked me to become the manager. Him and Stephen Ferguson and myself had a long chat, and they outlined the vision for their journey for the next few years at the football club. I came up and I'd been up before with the Scottish FA in terms of Club Academy Scotland, so I knew the ground, I knew the facilities, and I knew Stephen and I knew Mr McGregor. So, but coming back up again and reminded me of just how good the facilities are here is quite incredible. Actually, when you look around the facilities here at the Global Energy Stadium and the training facilities at the back, they are absolutely on a par with the best in Scotland, and that'll help us in terms of attracting players. But personally, being here, being around the club, meeting all the staff, I've had a very warm, friendly welcome to the Highlands.
Earlier this week, Malky, you confirmed your backroom team with Don as assistant manager. Stuart and Enda have joined the club, along with Scott Thompson, Willie Nolan and Liam Dukes, who were already in place. What's the process been like for you, gelling all that together in a short space of time?
Sure, yeah, I mean, it's important because that first team staff, along with the staff at the football club, is what is the heartbeat of a football club, and having met a lot of the staff that were around the club this last couple of weeks shows the togetherness that there is at this club. It really is an all hands to the pumps type situation where everybody chips in and pitches in with each other, and there is such a warmth and a love for the football club. It's important then that the additions that I bring to that are actually people that can integrate, people that are emotional intelligence, people that are actually able to come in here and adapt and add to the staff we already have. There was spaces available, and as I said, great to have Don Cowie as my number two. Don and myself go back a long way in terms of he played for me at Watford, at Cardiff and Wigan. And we've stayed in touch. He recently, when he was at Hearts, my office was there as well, so we would meet up for a cup of tea. So who knew that we were going to end up again together at a football club? But it's good because he's got the club at heart. There's a trust element there between me and him as well. So great to have him with me. Brought in Stuart Taylor as well as the first team coach, who I think is another great addition. Stuart is someone who's got a vast level of experience in the game. Has coached at Aston Villa, Wolves, Stoke, Ipswich Town, and obviously had a good football career in Scotland himself. Knows the game, knows players as well. So I think getting him on board is another important one. And we also brought in Enda Barron, who will come in as head of data analysis and recruitment, and Enda worked with me before. And I think the way the game is going, it's more and more important that there are structures in football clubs for analysis and recruitment, and we do have a situation where we plan ahead in terms of the players that we bring into the football club. If we're going to be asking to spend the club's money on players, we need to do everything we can to make sure that the players that we get in are players that are the correct players for Ross County, and they're going to be an asset to the club. That being the case, we need to build this department, and we've got starting that off at the moment, which is an important one for us. And you touched on it yourself. Scott Thompson's a very, very experienced goalie coach, and someone that I'm glad is here. A good guy, and he's someone that will continue to push Ross Laidlaw, who was player of the year last year, so that speaks volumes for Scott. We've got a young physio, Willie Nolan, and a young sports scientist, Liam Dukes, who both in my first week I've been impressed with their knowledge, their enthusiasm and their work ethic. I've been spoken to both. They've got both thoughts and ideas of how they want to help the players, and it's certainly aligned. Again, medicine and sports science are at cutting edge in terms of the modern football and the demands of football. So when you talk about analysis, you talk about recruitment and sports science and medicine, these are all areas that we've got to make sure that we are at the very peak that we can be at the football club. And if we're not, we go and find where we can think of ideas and meet people and just get those little extra 1% that we need. So these are all the things that wrap around the football player, and make sure that when the player comes in here, The only thing he needs to concentrate on is the actual game itself, because there is all these areas that are going to try and help and improve him. That being said, we've got to make sure that staff is correct, and the staff is gels, and the staff is so important to the football club. So delighted that I've got them in, and we'll be working together now for the last couple of weeks when the players aren't here.
Describe to us how important it is for you, Malky, to bring in staff that understand the nature of a club like Ross County and the hunger and the ambition to want to progress and develop a club like Ross County.
Well, that's my job, to sit and discuss and talk to them about what it is they're buying into. And obviously, as I say, there's some of the guys there already, they're part of the club, ensconced in the club. So talking to Stuart, talking to Enda about Ross County, about the journey that everyone wants to move the club forward in. It's important to buy into the area, buy into the people, and really give us a cause to actually hang on to. But as I say, I've got two guys that were really keen to get up here and work with the club. As I say, as soon as I discussed the conversations that I had with Mr McGregor with the staff, they were desperate to want to be involved in it, and that speaks volumes for our chairman.
Since you've come in, you've managed to secure Keith Watson and Blair Spittle on new deals, as well as 4 of our academy graduates. In line with that, you've also added Ross Callaghan to your squad. What are the key components that you look for in a player when you're thinking about players that might be coming into the stadium? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously there's a turnover. There was a lot of players out of contract. Some of those have left the club, and obviously there's ones that have stayed. So we've brought Keith back to the club again, and Blair Spittle. So great that they've secured their futures, and the ones that have come in, obviously so far Ross Callaghan's come in as well, and it's one of those things where you look for you need players with fire in their belly, and you need players that I certainly look for players that have got a hunger and a desire to want to be here. We need to look for players that are athletic and fit. They need to fit in terms of their technical, tactical ability and what they've done before, so that you want to bring in as good a player as you can. But for me, it's the character. You want the character and the personality. You want that player to be positive, to be proactive, to have a desire to want to get better, and a hunger to be a team player. And these are characteristics that we will try and find in all the players that we bring in. You want to make sure that people have got that fire in their belly. There's a hunger to want to work hard and to want to improve. If you've got that, you've got half a chance.
Obviously, you are looking to add to the squad. Give us an idea of how things are shaping up at the moment in terms of recruitment.
Yeah, we need to bring in a number of players to fill out the squad. There's a number left, and we really need to bring in a number of players. That's going to take a little bit of time. It's certainly a different situation when there's so many players needed to start off. But I think you can look at that in a positive sense and say, well, we've got a clean sheet of paper, and we need to grow the squad and the youthfulness of it, the energy of it, and go and find a number of good players and have a kind of a new squad of players coming in. That brings its challenges in actually having to find those players, but I think it's something that we have to do over time. We've got to make sure that we do this in the correct manner. I could go out and sign 10 players tomorrow, but would they be right for our club? No, they wouldn't. So we've got to make sure that over the next 4 to 6 weeks till transfer window closes, that we go and try and find the very best player we can. You have a situation just now where in the UK there's 500 or 600 players out of contract right now. That's an awful lot of players, and because of situations that are kind of out of everyone's control in terms of the COVID, there are lots of clubs that will be cutting their cloth and will not be having as big squads, and you'll find players who thought they were going to be maybe playing for a certain club or a certain level. They're not. So we've got to make sure we hold our nerve and try and find the best players we can. Similarly, because of the Euros, a lot of clubs who would be giving out loan players will be holding on to them just now to fill their pre-season squad. And then when the internationals come back, that's when some players are released out. So again, conversations that we're having, phone calls we're having at the moment, in a case of we'll let you know in 3 or 4 weeks' time. Now that's not ideal for terms of starting pre-season, but if you look at the longer term and for the whole season, you want to make sure that we get the correct players in. So at the moment, myself and the staff are sitting in the little room at the moment that we've got set up for our recruitment area, and there are lists of players on the walls, and there's a lot of phone calls to agents and a lot of phone calls to clubs at the moment.
Fixtures were released yesterday. You've got 5 of last season's top 6 in the first 5 games, including both sides of the Old Firm. That's a hugely mouth-watering prospect to start your reign here at Ross County.
Yeah. I mean, a couple of people sent me texts on that just to say, "Wow, look at your start." But at the end of the day, you've got to play all the teams, and we've got to make sure that the team that we put out there, as I say, probably is going to change over that first 3 or 4 weeks in terms of players coming into the football club. But we make sure that everyone that wears the Stag jersey is proud of it, and works hard and does what they're supposed to do, and make sure that we get the results we can. Really looking forward to it, and look forward to coming up against all teams in the Premier League.
Finally, Malky, we've all been in this morning for our testing. The cotton buds are back out. The players have been in for their tests this morning. They return tomorrow. Tell us about the process behind your pre-season this year.
Sure. I mean, Ross County Football Club should be very proud of the way that they've handled the COVID situation. That's the starting point, I would say. Having been at the Scottish FA and actually watching, whatever happens at all the clubs, Ross County were one of the ones that really stood out for me as. At the time, having very little coming out in terms of COVID, which showed me that now that I'm here, the processes they put in place to make sure that they help their risk as much as possible in terms of actually making sure that it didn't come into the building and it didn't actually affect the players and the staff. So, as I said, from the chief exec all the way down, I can see that people put the correct processes in place, and Fiona, our club secretary, has worked wonders as far as that's concerned. So as far as today's concerned, we brought the players back in today. They've been COVID tested today. They'll go home again. And then tomorrow morning they'll be brought back in, and Willie Nolan and Liam Dukes will start fitness testing them in terms of body measurements and some gentle tests. So Thursday, Friday they'll be handed over to the medical department for a couple of days, and then we'll start on Monday in earnest. We'll have them in on Monday, and that's when we'll start. We'll get the balls out. And nowadays, it's very rare that people don't see balls for the first 2 weeks. I think there's so much that can be done with the ball that you can still get a lot of cardiovascular work done and a lot of fitness work done with the ball. So, and players tend to want to run a bit they run when the ball's there, rather than just actually seeing that you're going to be doing running sessions. So we'll start that on Monday, and it'll be a gradual process. Again, guys have been off for 3 or 4 weeks, so you don't throw them straight back on day one to things, otherwise you tear hamstrings, Dale. But it'll be a gradual process. I've been doing these pre-seasons for an awful long time now, so it's just that balance between making sure that the start is correct and you push the boys to that point where they're outside their comfort zone, but you're not breaking them. We've got to make sure that they're fit and ready for the start of the season, that you're not getting injuries as much as you can. There's always situations that happen, but you want to limit that. So, as I say, the coaching staff will be there with Liam and Willie over the next few days, just to make sure we monitor everything. But yeah, it's all guns blazing. We're back to go again.
Malky, thank you for joining us, and all the best for the start of pre-season tomorrow.
Thanks, Dale.